Good morning, everyone. This is Marison Escudero presenting Choosing a Good Research Instrument. Let us first define what is research instrument. Research instrument refers to any tool that you may use to collect, obtain, measure, and analyze data that is relevant to the subject of your research. There are 6 reasons in selecting the right instrument. First, we should consider is the size. How large are my samples and how large are my features I'm measuring? Second is challenges and constraints. What features am I trying to measure? What measurement must be taken? And what obstacle or special issues exist regarding measurement? Third is contact. Can my measuring instrument come in contact with my samples? Fourth is standards. How accurate and repeatable must my measurement be, and must it be traceable? Fifth is output. What happens after the measurements are made, and what kind of output do I need to create? Sixth is throughput. How many samples do I need to review and in what time frame? How can we choose a good research instrument?
Validity. Validity refers to the extent to which the instrument measures what it intends to measure and performs as it is designed to perform. So pag sabing validity, tinitignan natin dito kung na-measure niya ba yung dapat niyang ma-measure. So that is the simplest definition of validity. There are different types of validity. The first one is what we call the content validity, the extent to which a research instrument accurately measures all aspects of the construct. The second is the construct validity, the extent to which a research instrument or tool measures the intended construct. Okay, so pag sabing content, ang mini-measure nito yung aspect nung kanyang construct, no? While kapag construct validity, mini-measure nito yung intended construct naman. Intended na construct. Okay. The third is what we call the criterion validity, the extent to which a research instrument is related to the other instruments that measure the same variable. So, itong tatlong ito, content, construct, and criterion, ay i-discuss natin ng detalyado sa susunod na slide. Content validity looks at whether the instrument adequately covers all the content that it should with respect to the variable. Halimbawa, ang topic ko is all about let's say subtracting algebra, subtracting integers. That's my topic. Ngayon dun sa mga questions, nandoon ba lahat? Nako-cover ba lahat yung content about subtracting integers doon sa ginawa kong instrument? So that's content. In other words, it refers to the appropriateness of the content of an instrument. It answers the question, do the measures or questions, observation logs, etc. accurately assess what you want to know? Does the instrument cover the I think this is the entire domain related to the variable or construct it was designed to measure. So yun nga, kung nandoon ba lahat yung mga kailangan na idea or content na sa instrument. Okay? Construct validity naman, on the other hand, refers to whether you can draw inferences about test scores related to the concept being studied. Ano ba yung inferences? Ito yung parang conclusion siya. Okay, conclusions. Inferences kasi ito yung parang merong data na susuporta doon sa conclusion mo. Okay? Mayroong mga related literature na maaring sumuporta doon sa findings or result na nakuha mo. Okay, there are 3 types of evidence that can be used to demonstrate a research instrument that has construct validity. Una, yung homogeneity. Okay? This means that the instrument measures one construct. That's homogeneity. Ibig sabihin, pare-pareho lang yung mini-measure niyang construct. Halimbawa, meron tayong physical factor, emotional factor, mental factor, pero ang mini-measure niya ay mathematics anxiety in connection to physical, emotional, environmental. So, yon ay homogeneity. Okay? Pare-pareho lang sila. Pare-pareho silang ang mga statements ay pare-parehong mathematical anxiety. Doon nakagroup sila into physical, environmental factor, and emotional factors. Convergence. This occurs when the instrument measure concepts similar to the other instrument. And although, if there are no similar instruments available, this will not be possible. Theory evidence. This is evident when the behavior is similar to the theoretical proposition of the construct measured in the instrument. So, yung convergence, this occurs when the instrument measure concepts similar to the other instrument. Okay, halimbawa, meron akong ibinigay na questionnaire, at the same time nagbigay ako ng test. Yung test na binigay ko ay similar lamang doon sa binigay ko na questionnaire. Ang questionnaire ay maaaring Likert scale. Pero pareho lang sila na mini-measure. Halimbawa, ang mini-measure ko ay parehong mathematical, let's say, anxiety. Nagbigay ako ng exam dun sa isang questionnaire, and then nagbigay ako ng Likert scale, rating scale, dun sa isang questionnaire. Pero they have the same or similar concept na mini-measure. Yung theory evidence naman, ito yung meron kang theoretical proposition. Kumbaga, meron ka ng basis, no? Kung bakit mo sinulat yung mga meron kang basis na related literature kung bakit etong statement na to ay nandito, kung bakit may mga statements dyan. Okay? So that's theory evidence. The final measure of validity is the criterion. So we're done with the construct, no? And with the content validity. Okay? Ang content validity, basta yung kino-cover niyo yung mga, yung knowledge, yung content nung isang problem na nasa questionnaire na lahat. Yung construct naman, meron siyang tatlong way. Yung homogeneity, convergence, at saka theory evidence. And sa criterion naman is any other instrument that measures the same variable. Correlation can be conducted to determine the extent to which the different instrument measure the same variable. Meron tayong, I think these are three ways, yes, criterion for the criterion validity. Number one is convergent validity, shows that an instrument is highly correlated with instruments measuring similar variables. Example, geriatric seaside correlated significantly and positively with depression, loneliness, and hopelessness. So, convergent validity ang tawag doon. Yung meron silang strong relationship doon sa kung bakit nagpapakamatay ang isang tao because of depression, loneliness, and hopelessness. So, highly correlated sila, okay, with the instrument measuring similar variables. Divergent validity shows that an instrument is poorly correlated to the instrument that measure different variables. Ano ba yan? There should be a low correlation between an instrument that measures motivation and one that measures self-efficacy. So, poorly correlated, ibig sabihin, there's no correlation between these two instruments. Okay? Between instruments, okay, that measures different variables. Kasi iba ang motivation at iba ang self-efficacy. Okay? Ang motivation ay maaaring makuha mo sa ibang tao. Ang self-efficacy kasi it is a belief within yourself while motivation can be get to other people. Motivation by the self pwede rin naman. But it's more on self-efficacy kasi. Because self-efficacy is confidence. Yung tiwala sa sarili. Okay, predictive validity. Means that the instrument should have high correlation with future criterions. A score of high self-efficacy related to performing a task that should predict the likelihood of participant completing the task. So, kapag mataas daw ang self-efficacy, ibig sabihin, mas mataas din yung chance na matatapos niya yung given task sa mga activities niya. So, yun ang tinatawag nilang predictive validity. Mapapredict daw. Okay? So, these are the different types of criterion validity. Number one is convergent validity, the high correlated positive validity, the divergent validity, the poor correlated and predictive validity, the high correlations with future criterions. And now we're done with the validity. Again, the validity has three components: the criterion, construct, and the content validity. For the reliability, this relates to the extent to which the instrument is consistent. The instrument should be able to obtain approximately the same response when applied to respondents who are similarly situated. Pag sabing reliability, it talks about consistency. Pare-pareho ba yung nilalaman ng questionnaire? At similar ba ito doon sa mga respondents? Halimbawa, ang questionnaire mo ay tungkol sa let's say feelings or emotional aspect ng isang taong na-rape, for instance. So ngayon, yung tao na bibigyan mo ba ay na-rape na. Okay? So kailangan purposive siya, so dapat na-rape na siya. So ibig sabihin, reliable yung instrument mo doon sa respondents mo. So may consistency. At dapat yung mga nakalagay sa instrument mo ay tungkol doon sa mga emotional experiences na maaring naranasan ng taong na-rape. So sorry for my term, pero yun ang example na naisip ko. Okay. Attributes of reliability in quantitative research. So, meron tayong iba't ibang attributes. Number one, internal consistency. Internal consistency or homogeneity is when an instrument measures a specific concept. This concept is through questions or indicators, and each question must correlate highly with the total for this dimension. So, ano ibig sabihin ng internal consistency or homogeneity? Ito yung sabi dito, when an instrument measures a specific concept, this concept is through a question or indicator. So, eto, specific concept lang siya. So, huwag na tayong lumayo dun sa example ko kanina. So, kung ang tinatanong ko ay emotional aspect or emotional feeling ng taong na-rape, so therefore, the consistency in the questionnaire should talk about the emotional feelings of the person na na-rape na. Okay? Yun yung mga nakalagay doon dapat. So, that's internal consistency. So, there are three ways to check the internal consistency or homogeneity of the index. So, number one is split-half correlation. We could split the index of exposure to televised news in half so that there are two groups of two questions and see if the two subscales are highly correlated. This is do people who score high on the first half also score high on the second half. So that's a question. Okay, so the split half correlation, ito yung kapag ba binigyan mo ng kapag ba ang mga student, no, halimbawa ay nagbigay ka ng exam sa kanila on the half quarter, no? Halimbawa, may experimentation ka, you need to do this in 1 month. And then, sa kalagitnaan, nagbigay ka ng exam. Okay? And then, titignan mo ngayon, yung after ng kalagitnaan ng month na yon, let's say, after 2 weeks, no? Then, after 2 weeks, nagbigay ka ng exam ulit. So, titignan mo, yung bang mga nakakuha ng high score dun sa first half, ay makakakuha din ng mataas na score dun sa second half. Okay? So, that's split half correlation for the internal consistency or homogeneity of the index. Okay. The average inter-term correlation, we can also determine the internal consistency for each question in the index. If the index is homogeneous, each question should be highly correlated with the other three questions. The average item total correlation. We can correlate each questions with the total score of the TV News Exposure Index to examine the internal consistency of the items. This gives us an idea of the contribution of each item to the reliability of the index. Okay, wait. I remember now. Actually, this three pala, split half correlation, average interterm correlation, and average item total correlations. Yung mga naka-explain dito ay mga example ng isang exposure to televised news. Now, a split half correlation, average item interterm correlation, and average item total correlation. Actually, there is a ang tawag dito, a statistical tool that can be used to determine the reliability of a specific the reliability of an instrument to answer the internal consistency of the index. Ngayon, ano yon? Ito yung tinatawag nilang KR20 or at saka KR21, Kudderson 20 tsaka Kudderson 21, para ma-determine yung reliability or ng internal consistency or homogeneity of index of a specific research instrument. Okay? Now, punta tayo sa second part. So, yung unang attribute is internal consistency. Now, yung second is stability or test-retest correlation. So, ito naman is magbibigay ka na ulit ng test, no? So, yung una, magbibigay ka ng test sa mga bata at i-check mo yung internal consistency niya. So, halimbawa, nagbigay ako sa mga, ginawa ko yung instrument, halimbawa, nagbigay ako ng, in-administer ko siya, pinilot test ko siya sa mga group of students. And then, after kong pinilot test, kinuha ko yung score, at saka yung, nagtali ako ng mga scores, ng tawag dito ng item analysis, and then chinek ko yon. Then gumamit ako ng Kudderson 20 and tsaka Kudderson 21, KR20, KR21, and then ito yung lumabas. Halimbawa may score na, titignan ko ayon kung kapag mataas, ibig sabihin maganda yung kanyang internal consistency or homogeneity, yung pagkakapare-pareho, consistent yung labas. Tapos, kapag hindi maganda yung result, hindi siya consistent. So, you need to change some variables or you need to change some questions. Okay? Ngayon, sa stability or test-retest, after mo pinalitan yung mga questions na yon, ibibigay mo ulit siya sa mga bata na group of students para i-test or i-retest yung exam na ginawa mo or yung questionnaire na ginawa mo. Okay, para matiyak na reliable na siya. So, this is an aspect of reliability where many researchers report that a highly reliable test indicates that the test is stable or over time. So, ibibigay, para maging standardized siya. So, ibibigay mo na siya ulit sa mga bata, sa ibang group naman. Okay, yung ginawa mo or yung minodify mong questions. Now, equivalence. Equivalence reliability is measured by the correlation of scores between different versions of the same instruments or between instruments that measure the same or similar construct, such that one instrument can be reproduced by the other. Okay, ito naman equivalence, ibig sabihin, kung number 1, parang pareho lang yung sinasabi niya sa number 3. So, maaaring alisin mo na yung isa. Okay? At isa na lang yung itira mo kung meron silang pagkakapare-pareho. And finally, readability. Refer to the level of difficulty of the instrument relative to the intended user. So, kung pambata siya, dapat yung level ng reading nila or yung level ng language na gagamitin mo is pangbata. At saka kung mapangmatanda, yung level. Kung hindi siya, yung gagamitin mong instrument o yung mga respondents mo ay mga taong hindi nakapag-aral or walang formal education, so bibigyan mo sila ng klase ng instrument na readable, na naka-line doon sa level ng kanilang napag-aralan.